I can record better. And I was hoping that I know Michael switched it in the system, but just wanted to make sure. All right. Let's give everybody a chance to hop in. I got a couple people in the waiting room.
Hi, Caitlin. Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Yep.
I'm really sorry for not turning on my camera. I'm really out right now. But yeah, I just
Oh,
wanted
okay.
to attend the session. Yeah, this is my first day, by the way.
It is your first day?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Um, I think because I was looking at who I had
Oh.
actually seen in here before or not, but when did you get started in the program?
I just did yesterday.
Oh, very cool. Cool. Well, this this call it's pretty simple. So I run a setting team for a larger crypto education company in the space and do these calls every Tuesday at 11 Eastern. Um, and it's typically about setting. I was a closer for a little while. Wasn't my favorite thing to do, but I like to focus on setting and still coach some other setting teams in the space and then here every week. So these calls can be call reviews, it can be questions, it can be about the process you're using, pretty much anything setting related. But one topic, um, there's one topic I kind of wanted to touch on today, but I first wanted to open it up to those of you who are here to see if you guys had any questions to start it off as far as setting goes. Um, is it Harshal? Is that how you say your name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Are you on a gig or are you working on getting on one or what? Kind of tell me about you. What got you into the training?
You're muted. You're muted.
Oh,
Hello.
Harshal. There we go.
Yeah. Can you say that question again, Caitlin?
Yeah, what are you currently on an offer or what do you have going on right now? And why'd you jump into the training?
Yeah. So I've been. I was closing recently. I was working as a sales manager in one of the agency. But yeah, I wanted to go into US market, in a better market. I was working in India, which is really a tough market, I would say. But yeah, I wanted to go in a better market, and I thought, why not start as a startup?
Okay. Cool. Well, when in the future for these calls, like I said, call reviews, questions, etc. Does anybody have any questions that they wanted to bring? And if you guys are coming to a lot of the calls, I would always suggest come to the calls with questions about um, what's going on in your current setting situation, on call performance, questions that you get on calls that you don't know how to handle. I know all of the coaches in this program very well, and it's very, very helpful when you guys bring what you want help with because we can share all of our knowledge all day long, but it may not be specific to you. So y'all's questions are very beneficial. Um, Abdullah.
Yeah, when you mentioned in the beginning that you didn't really like closing, but you preferred setting. Why is that exactly?
Um, I just think of setting as like the first initial interaction that someone gets to have with a company, right? They see your marketing, and then they come through and you're like the first person they get to talk to. And I thought one that was always fun because I wanted to make a good impression on them and move them further along the process. And I felt like I kind of had the keys to the gate of what we did. And second, I enjoyed the shorter um, process of setting. So 15, 20 minutes I could do a lot of work in that time. Versus closing, I just wasn't a fan of being on Zoom for an hour with
Yep.
one person. Like it
Yep.
was just too long of a call for me, and a little bit boring. in a
Yep.
way. Some people are phenomenal closers and they can sit there and just do that. And I just am not that person. So I also looked at setting as much more opportunity. There's very, very, very few people who want to be a setter, team leader, manager. And less than that, there's very few good ones. So
Mhm.
I saw that as an area of opportunity. Everybody wants to run a closing team. Everybody wants to be a sales director. Um, and I just was going towards my skill set and where I saw the most opportunity for growth long term, which everybody should be thinking about. But also, the key to making that happen is to be freaking phenomenal at what you're doing right now. And you will get to that point. Thinking too far ahead doesn't work well. And I experienced that at one point. But when I focused on being a very, very good setter, the best setter that I knew that I could put myself up against and I beat them, that's when I knew, okay, now I'm ready for a promotion, right? Not, oh, I've been here a year. That doesn't work that way. And if you
Yep.
think that way, it'll be a sad day for you. So, of course, have your long term vision and think about where you want to get to, and then focus on what you can do right now to eventually get there. Is how I think about it.
Yep. Thank you.
Ben.
Yeah, this is it might not be an easy question to answer. It's not a short question, but I'm looking for
Okay.
a bit more support on the goals section of discovery calls.
Okay.
Like I feel like I can get into pain pretty good, and especially like asking questions around the impact that it's been having, and asking about time to kind
Mm-hmm.
of build that gap a little bit more. I think my solution awareness is very good as well. I
Mm-hmm.
think you mentioned in a training call perhaps a week or two ago now about a lot of people ask, what have you tried in the past? But people tend to skip over like what they're doing right now. That
Mm-hmm.
has been a game changer, may I add. Um, but
Sweet.
goals, I'm on a BizOps offer, and I feel like I basically just say like, how much do you need to be making to replace your current income,
Okay.
and what would that allow you to maybe do or have that you're not able to now? And I just get the typical answers of like, oh, I want to spend more time with a family, or I want to go on holiday a little bit more. And then I just go into getting the set, and I feel like maybe I could be doing a little bit more on the goals side.
Yeah.
Um, so if you've got any
Um.
thought around that, it'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. So when you think about goals, remember think of like broad to narrow again, like the funnel. Broad and then we go down. So um, when you want to start off by saying like, yeah, I think I have a good understanding of what you're currently doing, what you currently have going on. I guess I'm just curious now, like, what is it that you ultimately want to achieve when starting a business or growing your business, right? What is it that you ultimately want to achieve, which is like the big, broad goal, right? And
Mm.
then depending on what they say there, then we can kind of chunk down on those different goals. So it's ultimately what do you want to achieve, right? And think about it in a time and money breakdown. There's only two avenues they can really take at the end of the day. And so if they say, well, I ultimately just want to increase my income. Got you. Okay. Then you go down the path of, well, what would you need to make to replace what you currently bring in now? I would need to make, let's say, we'll just use easy numbers. I would need to make 10 grand a month. Okay, perfect. And if you made 10 grand in the business, that's you would feel comfortable leaving your job. Now, Ben, what that's going to get you is like, well, that's what I make now, but I probably wouldn't leave my job for that because what is their job to them?
Priority.
Yeah. Like their job is secure, right? So if they just match it, they may not leave. So that's why that additional question is okay. So if you made 10 grand with the business, you'd like leave the job, or do you want to make more to actually feel comfortable leaving? They're probably going to be like, oh, yeah, no, I'd probably want to make, 15 to be able to comfortably leave. Now you're starting to get what they really want and where they're at. And then you're like, okay, cool. And then, pie in the sky here, still realistic though. what do you want to bring in from the business? Don't tell me, 200 grand a month. Realistically, what do you want to bring in from the business in the next, year per month? And if you frame it like that, most people will give you like a realistic number, sometimes still high. But if you say, what do you want to bring in? They're going to be like, well, sky's the limit. Stupid answer, right? It's not an answer, but people do say that. So you go ultimately, what are you trying to achieve? Okay, what would you need to leave the job? Gotcha. Are you sure you would leave the job with that, or do you want a little more to feel comfortable? I'd want a little bit more. Okay, so now you have two numbers. Then you say, well, ultimately, what do you want to make from the business realistically? And you get that third, like, high tier number. You want that because that widens the gap between like where they're at now and where they want to get to. But still a realistic, because if someone's at 10K and they want to make $1 million a month, that difference is so big, they can't even come to terms with that. They want that. They think they want that. But that is so hard to like reason within your own mind. Now, 10 grand to like 20, 30, 40 grand a month. Now that is something that people can actually feel is achievable. So they're willing to reach for that. It's like us saying we want to be billionaires. Cool. Except for, do we really think that can happen? I don't know. Questionable. Now let's take it down to, I want to be a millionaire. You're still like, and that would be cool, but like, damn, that's basically $85,000 a month. That's a big jump. But if you're like, hey, what about $500,000 a year? That's more achievable in most people's heads. So you want to think through that of like, what is going to push them to think big, but not so big that they can't get there, because then you've lost them anyways. So that's the finances part, right? And
Nice.
then you can understand, well, a lot of people want money for different reasons. So what is that reason for you? Because if you just say, why do you want to make more money? You're going to get a BS answer. Yeah, I mean, I want to make more money. I want to feel more financially free. Prime example, everybody drop in the chat, what does financial freedom mean to them?
Wait, when you say what financial freedom means to me, like you mean the amount?
No. What does it mean to you? Like what I just wrote. Mine is the ability to travel wherever I want and not work. Yours could be go shopping and not look at the price tag. Yours could be, I don't know, a lot of different things. Hence the situation of financial freedom isn't an answer. It is an answer, but it's not one that's going to move somebody. Financial freedom, knowing that money is coming into the bank account, more money is coming in than going out, and not having to think about general day to day. Yeah, I mean, everybody's is different. Financial freedom is all one umbrella, but the way we all think about it and the way that it's in our own minds is very different. So if we just let somebody stop at financial freedom, we're not really touching, like we're not getting to the point of where they feel like this is different for them. Like people want to feel like they're within a group, but they also like to feel like individuals. So they want to feel like they're moving with people, right? But if you're like, oh yeah, you're just another number, you're just another notch on the belt, that's not cool. Nobody wants to feel like that either. So when we get into goals specifically, and even pitching what we do, the customization to people and the individualization, I don't even know if that's a word, but you get what I'm saying, is very important. So a really good way to open it is, financial, or like a lot of people want money for different reasons. Like, what is that reason for you? And then you get into what they really want. If they say, well, if they go through the I want financial freedom, it's like, okay, cool. Well, what is that for you? Because it's, like I said, different for everybody. So I just want to make sure that there's a reason behind doing this, because it's going to be a lot, it's going to be work. And you're like subtly like trying to DQ them and make them qualify themselves. When you're like, well, why do you really want to do it? Because it's going to take time. Well, I want to do this because of this. And you start to actually get their goals, and you want to get their goals around time and money. So when they start telling you, well, I want financial freedom because I want to know that there's more money coming in than going out, and just day-to-day expenses are nothing. Okay, cool. You don't feel like you have that right now on the 10K a month? And they'll be like, either no, I don't, or yeah, I mean, I do, but maybe not as much as I would want. Cool. So anything else that, like, taking that worry about the general day-to-day expenses, anything else that would do for you? Like, you have a partner that would be affected by that as well? And then it starts to be a deeper conversation of goals of why they want something. It's not just about money. It's not just even about them anymore. It's about maybe they have kids, maybe they have a wife or a husband or a partner, whatever that is important to them, and that's what they're doing this for. And those things, guys, are why people make decisions. The money is just the vehicle. It's what the money can do for them that's making the decision for them.
Can you
So
just touch on
Ben,
that last point quickly? Like, how do you phrase that, tying the family into it?
oh, so if they say, I don't want to worry about general expenses every day, I just want them to be taken care of. Okay, cool. I totally understand that. You can phrase it a couple different ways. You could be like, for me, that's important because, I have a spouse that, likes to buy things. So I want to make sure she or he's taken care of. Or you can say, I have kids and I don't want to have to worry about whether I can put them in an extracurricular sport. So, like, what is it for you? So you can float examples out there if you feel like you have a connection with them in a certain way. Maybe they, I don't know, like when I was a setter, I was really heavy into CrossFit. And when people started talking about CrossFit, of course, we started talking about CrossFit. And it's like, yeah, I mean, dude, you travel, CrossFit gyms are $200 a month. Like, I just want to be able to go pay it and be done with it. So you can use connection points like that. Or you can just say, okay, when you think about the day-to-day expenses being easier and just, coming no problem, is it just for you, or is it for a partner, for your kids? Like, what's it really for? Like, what do you feel like is the most important for you to make that happen? And so when you start to get into the time and money, or like financial freedom, not having to worry about that, is there a time factor to this for you? Is it just money, or do you want to gain some time back from this? Kind of, because I know earlier you mentioned you were working, 40 to 50 hours a week. So are you trying to cut back that work time as well? And if you did have 4 more hours a day, like, what would you do with it? People get bored. That's why they go back to work in retirement. You see how I'm kind of picking apart in a good way what they want?
Mm.
But if you just drill someone with questions, it won't work. You have to actually be interested and have a conversation with them. And that is the hardest part. And setters that can do all of what I'm telling you, and people still want to talk to them and like actually have a conversation, they're ultra successful. But if you just qualify and drill them with questions for 20 minutes, it's never going to work. So I used to tell my team, like, think about you being out at the bar with your buddies having a beer. If you drink, if you don't drink, doesn't matter. And like, what are you talking like? Of course, you want to know about your friends. You haven't seen them in a while. Like, you're asking them questions, but you're not drilling them with questions.
Yeah.
You
I
have
think
like
that's
a dialogue.
Yeah, that's where I'm trying to get to, is like have as many kind of avenues and as many different questions in my arsenal so that then I can pull them out at different times and it's
Yeah.
all like relevant to that conversation. Because I think that's why people are big advocates for scriptless selling, is because if you are just following a script, that's what makes the conversation inorganic. But you
Mhm.
also still have to know in your mind like where you're gonna go with this conversation, you know? So
Yeah.
it's scriptless, but you still gotta have the tool belt to make it that way, you know?
Yeah.
But this was
I
killer.
mean, that's where thinking outside of setting someone is so important, and seeking to understand and help them change their perspective is different than just setting them. So now you can, um, you know, get an understanding of really what they want to do. And a lot of people, if you really get into a good conversation with these, they'll tell you all of that. Sometimes without you having to ask. But if they feel like you're just qualifying them, it doesn't work. Does that make sense, Ben?
I feel like I owe you $200.
No, you're not. Just go make some more money for yourself.
Notes
I'll be
galore.
happy.
No, killer. Wonderful. Thanks.
Michael, you had your hand up, and I think Hafsa has hers up as well. But Michael, you had yours up first.
I wanted to ask, are there any books that you would recommend reading to get a better sense of like being a setter? Is there anything that you've found helpful?
Yes, it's an interesting one because it helps you understand
I'm
people.
here with pen and paper ready to write this down. So.
Have you read the book Surrounded by Idiots?
I got a little bit into it,
It's
but
helpful.
I can read it.
It's helpful. It is a bit
I
boring,
have it.
but it is helpful, and I'll tell you why it's helpful. As a setter, you have to be able to identify who's on the other side of the phone very quickly because you only have so much time. And if you are treating somebody or talking to somebody in a way that's not resonating with them, you're wasting your time. So
Okay.
if you were to talk to me, okay, if you've read this book, you know it goes in like red, yellow, green, blue for the types of people that are in the world, and like
Yeah, I mean, I got that far that they got into the whole color thing, but I didn't
right,
finish the
so
book.
what they like, don't like, typically, right? So I'm a red, hardcore red, meaning I want things quick to the point. Don't bore me with the details. I never read a contract. I'm that person. I'm just going to sign it and move on. Okay. I don't want every detail behind what happened because I don't actually care. I just want the result. That's what I'm looking for. If you come
Okay.
to set me and you're going round and round about the details, and or you ask me something that I already answered, I'm irritated and I'm not going any further with it. So the point of trying to understand people is when you get into your first few questions, right? What intrigued you about this opportunity? I'd be like, I want to know how I can make more money. That's the person that I would be. That's how I know how to handle them because that's who I am. And with that person, as a setter, you can't be like, okay, perfect, but what emotional impact would it have, right? That person isn't an emotional person. So instead of going hardcore emotional, you teeter the line of like logistics and emotion. Now, yellows are much more emotional beings. They care about what other people think and what other people are doing. And that will trigger them more than just the hard facts. And so you want to actually start to listen to people. For Ben, when you make a decision, are you making it because you want to feel secure? Are you making it because you want to know for sure what's going to happen in the future? Or are you more willing to say, like, I don't really need to know if it's for sure, but like, I want the chance for it to work? Which one would you be more of?
Are you asking me or asking Ben?
Well, both of you. I was asking Ben because I was looking at his answer in the chat.
I think a little bit of both, but then again, I've never really been sold to, so I don't know.
So when you start to have a conversation with somebody, you start to pick up on little cues of what they say and the questions that they ask. Are they asking for the end goal? the end goal, or are they asking for the details? Are they asking, well,
Yeah.
how fast can I get there? Or how exactly do I get there?
Yeah, I
different
think I'm very
questions.
detail orientated.
I personally, just from reading your answer, I think you're a blue, meaning you want to know how things are done, black and
Mm.
white, so you can know that the money coming in is going to be more than the money going out. Like, I don't necessarily think like that. So, although I found that book extremely boring, by the way, I think it helped me get a sense of the people that were on the other side of the phone and how I could talk to them and how I could address them. Because if you want someone, if someone's on the other phone asking about all the details and you just say, well, those aren't important, but you can get there, you've lost them because they are important to them. Now, you don't want to give them all the details, but you need to acknowledge bits and pieces, right? This is where,
Great question.
yeah,
But
it's like I can't give you every detail, although I appreciate that you do want them, but I can give you a small breakdown. And you have to feed sometimes to people's what they're wanting. But if someone's like, yo, how do I get to, like, tell me how to get to the 400K. If you start giving me all the details, I'm gonna be like, yeah, you've lost me. I'm not listening. I need the boom, boom, boom high level. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Go to the closer to find more. It's like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? So you have to understand who's on the other side of the phone. And you can do that through questions, their tonality, how they speak, what they do for work. Like, you see what I'm saying? People in sales are typically reds. They have some others, some other pieces, but they're
I
typically
have
red.
I have a bit of a follow-up question. Like, one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of people, not just like just in life in general,
Mhm.
a lot of people tend to have this idea that this thing over here that I don't know, that I don't understand, oh, that's really simple and easy. And so, like, how do you deal with someone who, you know, thinks that they're just gonna go into your program and be successful like right away? Like without, like, they have no previous experience, no previous knowledge.
Like they don't think they have to put in the work.
Yeah, but like they don't, I think not that they don't need to put in the work, but I think that they just grossly underestimate the work.
Mm.
Like it's not like you're just gonna watch, it's not like you're gonna read a book or read a couple of books or even read 10 books or do a program and then all of a sudden you're gonna be like amazing at the thing. Like you're gonna, when you start, you're gonna not be good before you're good, right?
hmm
And I think a
Well,
lot of people like,
it depends on the person you're dealing with. So one, we have right pocket people who think they're good at everything.
wait, what pocket?
They're called right pocket. They think they're good at everything. They don't need any help. They're like, I don't even need to buy education. I got this. And on the flip side of the coin, you have what we call left pocket, which is like they don't believe in themselves at all. They don't think they can do it. Right? And then
And
everywhere in between. And so the way that you address a left pocket is encouragement and showing them that they can do it with the support of somebody. And if they were to go at it on their own, it would probably take them forever. And at the end of the day, it'll get them a part of the way, but not all of the way. And that's why education and following someone who's already done it is so important. And you build them up. Left pockets need to be built up to be able to take the
got it.
leap, right? If you go to
Okay.
right pocket, you have to break them down in the same way. Same language, just presented in a different way. It's like, well, if you feel as though you can do it on your own, you're more than welcome to do that. But the most successful people in the world didn't do any of that on their own, right?
So
Like,
how do you break them down? Like, how do you break them down? Because I mean, I know how to build someone up. I mean, I don't
mhm,
feel like that's particularly challenging for me, but
most people
breaking
do just
someone
fine.
down, huh?
Yeah, most people are good with left pocket people because we like to encourage as human beings. But with the right pocket, it's the same language. So if someone's like, "Well, I don't think I need education. I can probably just go figure it out. It's like, okay, cool. Have you been trying to figure it out before? Like, why hasn't that worked yet? If you can figure it out, why do you feel as though you haven't figured it out yet? Right? And so challenging someone in that way, in a positive way, is like, if you feel like you can do it on your own, why haven't you done it yet? And even if you could do it on your own, it would take infinitely longer than it would to actually follow someone who's already done it. So what's your hesitation to following someone who's already done it? Well, I don't believe in paying for education. Well, did you go to college? I did. Okay, well, you paid for education that had no guarantee at the end of it and was way overpriced. And how did that turn out for you? Now, that's a tricky question because they could say it turned out like shit. Or they're like, no, it turned out really good. Right? And you have a rebuttal to both of those. If they say it turned out like shit, it's like, well, yeah, it does turn out like shit for most people because they teach you all these broad things, but not really one thing you need to know to be successful. And if they're like, oh, it turned out great, then you're like, exactly. So why wouldn't you do that again for a fraction of the cost? And if they're like, well, I think if I, come into your program, I don't need the full scale program. I just need a little bit and I'll be good. It's like, okay, cool. I don't know you, right? So I can't tell you if that's going to be true or not. But what I do know is that I've had people come in just like you and they needed the entire program because you don't know what you don't know. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it is the truth. So, Michael, you have to kind of like break their ego down, as in, none of the most successful people in the world have done anything on their own. The
Well,
highest
like-
paid, best athletes still have coaches. Actually,
No, I mean,
multiple coaches.
I get that. I guess it kind of strikes me close to home because
Mhm.
my best friend is one of those people who, thinks he can just do stuff on his own. And he like prides himself on that. He's like definitely right of pocket.
Mhm.
And then like when it comes to anything technology related, he's like totally left of pocket. And it's like, I just feel like anytime I try to convince him of anything, it just never works. So
Well,
I'm a little bit.
don't let your friend not being able to be convinced let you not convince people on the other side of the phone. I don't care about your friend. Right? Like, he's not everybody. And some people can have their minds changed. You just have to ask the right questions. Now, will it work 100% of the time? No, because some people are delusional. But that's fine. Let them be delusional. They don't have to come into your program. The only thing you can do is try to bring them back down to earth. And if they keep wanting to be on a rocket ship by themselves, then let them go. But they're not going to get very far. Because
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, most of them wouldn't. If they think they can do everything on their own, then they'd already be where they want to be. But chances are they're not. And don't be afraid to toss that back in somebody's face either. In a nice way, of course. But these were my favorite types of people. When I sold for Cole Gordon, we sold sales training, and I was on the funnel that sold to salespeople already, trying to get them into this industry from another sales industry. So you can imagine, I was on the phone with those people all day long, particularly Zoom. Maybe that's why I hated it. Roofers,
Yeah.
insurance, tech sales, medical device
So
sales.
what field would you say? Because like I'm not particular to high ticket closing. I'm more like a sales and marketing guy in general. So I like sales and marketing regardless. So like what industry would you say people were making like the most money in?
For sales, particularly?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're a good closer on a good offer in this industry, here, but it's rare. Okay, so like I know closers closers at our company make killing. The top ones are at 40, 50,000 a month, which most people do not make anywhere, right? Now, in solar, you have the top guys that make that. In tech, you have the top guys that make that. In freaking yacht sales, you have the top guys that make that, right? Insurance. But at every one of those industries, all the industries are the same, guys. Guess who makes that? The top 1%. That's it in every industry. So it's not necessarily always about the money. Think about all those industries and think of the cons. Think about this industry and think of the cons.
Of the
Solar,
what?
the cons, like the bad parts of it.
Oh, the
Not
cons.
every,
Okay, yeah.
yeah. Solar, they're like door knocking, legit, right? In tech, their sales cycles are astronomically long because they're selling to massive companies, right? In pharma sales, their competition is through the roof. Big pharma is like the most cutthroat thing ever. Here, you're at the mercy of the leads that you get from your marketing team. But you get to sit at home all day, right? So there's pros and cons to all of them. So most people think that people only do shit for the money, but that is not true. The money is a good thing. And of course, people want to be successful, but some people value the way that they spend their time equally as much as they value the money.
Because like I had, there's a sales position selling insurance that I could get,
Mhm.
and they're offering $700 a week base pay. It's Canadian. It's not American. So it's
Mhm.
$700 a week Canadian base pay. So on top of commissions. I don't know what their commission structure is, but
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
how do you think that stacks up with a lot of other
what's
offers?
like
Assuming
2,400 a month base. I mean, it depends.
2,800.
Do you have to buy your own leads? Like how does it work? What's your commission? Do you get clawbacks after people don't sign up? Like you got to weigh all the differences.
Okay.
Do you get to
Yeah,
sit
I
at
see what you mean.
home? Do you have to go out and see clients? Like what do you want to do? You know what I mean? I would never go into one of those industries because I travel full time. So like you're not getting me in an office and you're not getting me to a physical location where I have to go see clients. It wouldn't matter what the money was. Like at all. Would not matter. I'm not doing it. So you have to kind of determine what is the most important to you and make the decisions based off that. The base you can get other places. In this industry, you're not really going to get a base unless you're a setter, and it's not going to be $2,800. But I do know of a really good Canadian offer, actually. Do you speak French?
Yes, I do.
Oh, even better. You have to speak French.
So what's the offer?
I can tell you about it, but I know Hafsa's had her hand up for
Yeah.
a while. What was your question, Hafsa?
So my question is about what you were saying about goals. So
Mhm.
at what point do you think like you have the clear picture of their goals?
I think it comes down to when you're listening to them talk and they start saying what they want, they'll usually go a little bit deeper in one area, and that's usually when you know like that's their driving factor. So if you start asking them about why do they want to make more money, and they're like financial freedom. Okay, well, financial freedom is different for everybody. What does that really mean for you? And they're like, well, I mean, to me, I really want to have enough money to leave my kids. And you're like, okay, gotcha. Oh, like how many kids do you have? Like, be curious. How many kids do you have? I have 3 kids. Oh, okay, gotcha. Are they like younger? Are they older? I know they get like supposedly get more expensive. I don't know. I don't have children. No, they're older, so like they're gonna go to college, and it's like, okay, cool. So do you feel like that is the biggest driver of really why you're trying to do this? Because I know at the beginning you said make more money, but like, is this really the biggest driving factor behind making more money? And they'll usually either say like, yes, this is really why I need to do it, or you'll get like a two-sided answer where they say it is, but also like I want to have money for my wife and I, not just my kids. Like I want to have money for us in retirement. Oh, gotcha. What does she do? Like, you have to be curious. Like, what does she do? Oh, she does this. Like, okay, cool. So you guys are both still working. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, got it. Do y'all have a timeline of like when you want to retire, or what's that look like? And it's all a conversation. And then you'll start to understand, like, okay, it's really his kids and stuff, but it's also the life with his wife that he wants to be able to retire. And at that point, you probably have that. And the only thing you need like underneath that now, Hafsa, is like, how fast do they want to do that? So you can push the timeline of urgency. Because if someone wants something, but they're willing to wait 20 years, they're not buying what you have right now. So why is it important they start to move the needle in that direction now? Is the most important part of the goal section, actually, besides what they want. But if they're willing to wait, you don't have a sale anyways. So we have to understand what they want. So it's I know your question, I know what your question is, but it's hard for me to answer because I'm not on the phone. So you get to make that determination of, I think I have what is this person's like actual reasoning behind what they want. Or I think this is enough. And over time, you'll start to understand what's enough and what's not. Meaning, you'll think you have enough, and then you listen to the call and you're like, oh man, I could have asked another question there that I think would have given me a little bit more depth. But it's really hard to like speculate all the time and say, well, I think this is enough. Because it's dependent on the prospect. And that's why setting with a script is fine. And we have one, but like, you're much, much, much better off having more of like a checklist of what you need and having a conversation with somebody and still being able to get that information, not reading a script, because connection is really important. And setters that gain the most trust on the call have the best numbers. Because I have.
How
Sorry?
about if like they don't understand like the benefit of discussing their goals?
So if they're like, I don't understand why you need to know this kind of situation. Yeah. So I always would kind of level with somebody at that point and say, look, what we do here is like decently complicated. It's going to take, this is for my offer currently, it's going to take a good amount of time for you to learn and be able to put this in play. 3 to 5 hours a week, and then, however deep you want to go into the strategy. So from my experience, people who don't really have a really solid reason why they want to do something, like why they want to put their time and money into something, they usually don't. And then they don't get the results that they want. But the people that do, they have a reason why they want to do this and like why they're willing to put their time and money into something. Those are the people that are very successful. So when someone pushes back on like, I don't understand why this is important, always go to who is successful and who's not. Does that make sense? Because ultimately people want to be successful. That's why they're on the phone with you, right? Or at least they think they do. Whether they do or not is, yet to be seen, because we don't know what they're going to do in the program. But most people do ultimately want to be successful. So you just want to say, well, from my experience, the people that are the most successful have goals. They have reasons they want to do something, so that when it does get hard, they do keep pushing through and keep wanting to learn. So that's up to you to decide. And I would tell them that, like, you don't have to share anything with me, but at the end of the day, if you don't really know why you'd put the time and the effort in, it probably won't work. One thing I can tell you is like, people don't like people that blow smoke. You'll get so much more respect if you're more real with somebody on the phone. Like, some of my setters sound like, I swear they sound like customer service agents. And the prospects just straight up call them out. Like, they do. They're like, stop qualifying me. that's how you know you're doing it wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But
That's nuts.
I know. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like one of my guys was like, "Well, no, I'm actually not going to stop qualifying you because these are the things I need to know." And I was like, "Oh shit." So you can set however you want, but Hafsa, my guess is you're pretty timid on the phone. I don't
Yeah.
know. I've never heard a call from you, but based on how
Yeah.
you speak, I would say you're timid and you're gonna have to get some energy, you know what I mean? And like take control. Now, a positive to what you have going on is that they're gonna probably be nice to you. Because nobody wants to be mean to someone who sounds so nice. So that's a good thing. But you still have to control the call. You don't want them to control it. So don't be afraid to say, well, I need to know what your goals are to see if this is even going to work for you because the people that we want in this program have reasons that they're doing this. Don't be afraid to be like stern with people. Or they'll just run all over you. Unfortunately. Simon Sinek. Oh, okay. I think I've seen, yeah, or seen, or I think there was like a speech, like a short speech they did.
What happened on that call that you mentioned that the prospect said, "Stop qualifying me"? What do you think was the main thing that the setter got wrong?
He in the very, very beginning, he was timid. And so he was like just asking the questions, like, okay, so what I need to know this, and like, what about this? And it just sounded like he was reading a piece of paper with a clipboard, checking off what he needed to know. And English isn't his first language. So I think he also struggles a bit with that. But at the end of the day, people have to think that you're the trusted person that knows the most. If they think they know more than you, you're dead in the water, especially when it comes to finances and crypto. So if you don't start the call confidently, you're not getting anywhere.
Mm.
Because some of these guys come in and they already have crypto. So they already think they know more than you anyways. Depending on the demographic that you happen to call that day. Ben?
Yeah, that made me think actually. I watched back one of my I graduated on Sunday, I believe, with Michael, and I watched back the mock call, and after every answer, I was like, gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Apart from putting a post-it note on my wall in front of me saying stop saying gotcha, is there a better way to kind of show that you are actively listening and have understood what they said rather than just going maybe down the route of repeating what they've told you or saying gotcha, or I don't know, how can you make it
so
flow a little bit more?
active listening comes with asking a question that's pertinent to what they just told you. Okay, so if they say, I don't know, got anything, literally anything, ask them a question that has to do with that will get you information that you want. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be information that you want necessarily. Sometimes you can just ask an additional question. Like if someone mentions they want to, I don't know, have more time because they like to play golf. Oh, well, how long have you been playing golf? 50 years. Oh, wow, okay. How much time do you need a week to play golf? Like, what would be ideal? Like, that information seems so trivial, but at the end of the day, the person wants to play golf. And, like, if they want to play golf for 5 or 6 more hours a week, which is like one round because it takes forever, then that might be something that's important to them. You know what I mean? And it takes you 20 seconds to ask that question and get an answer that could do a lot for that person in terms of showing that you actually give a shit. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
good response. Yeah, I feel like I might be doing it at times because you're on the phone and like, you know, you can read if you're over Zoom or you're in person, like there's a lot that you can show in your body language that you're listening or you've heard them or something, right? But when you're over the phone, I
Yeah,
think it's like it's a
100%. Your
bit harder,
tonality
right?
is way more important.
Mm,
Can I share something that I found useful?
Hmm. Yeah.
You can ask them like, hey, you know, am I making sense? And if they use a phrase like gotcha or okay, no, I hear you, you can take the phrase that they use and use that in place of gotcha, because then it's like you're using the same language they're using. So if you're listening
Mhm.
for them saying, so if I'm talking to you on the phone and you're saying gotcha, and I go, oh, okay, I'll switch from oh, okay to gotcha, because that's the language you're using. Does that make sense?
gotcha.
So then I
I've
would
s-
like, as soon as I say, does that make sense? You say gotcha. Now I'm gonna start saying gotcha on the call. I try my best. It's hard to do because, like, you know, it's almost like you say it instinctually, but I found that that helps, like using the same language as other people.
that and just adding a small, literally like the smallest follow-up question that's relevant to what they just said. It's so small, but it can be easily done. Michael, did you have a question while you have your hand up? And then Max.
I did, but then I was listening to Ben and I forgot. I was
Okay.
like actually listening to your explanation and everything, and then I'm like, I completely forgot what I was gonna ask.
That's okay. Max.
Yeah. So I was listening because you gave me a call review last week. I was listening back to the replay.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, because you were mentioning in the call that I didn't connect things
Yeah.
properly. So I suppose I wanted to know, like, how do I connect it back to teaching? How would I do that?
So when you want to connect it back to your offer, the answers that they give could be like, I can't remember. Like, tell me about the guy again. Give me like the high level. What did he do? He was already a teacher and he wanted to go online, right?
I think he was a teacher in the classroom and he had all the issues in the system.
Yeah, and like,
Uh,
yeah, thought that he wanted to like impact the school system better and da 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 da. So really easy ways to do it are like, well, I hear you talking a lot about the curriculum that the students get and you not feeling like it's good enough. Like, what about the online teaching makes you feel like you're going to be able to make a bit bigger impact on that specifically? Because he was off on, I remember this guy, he was off on these tangents about all this other stuff. And I needed you to bring it back to like, but what does that have to do with online teaching? What do you feel like online teaching can help you accomplish with all these things that you're saying you're having trouble with? That's how I wanted you to do it. Because ultimately, he didn't show up, did he?
no, he was a no-show.
Yeah, because the connect between what he wanted and online teaching wasn't like there. I don't think he even realized. Like, I don't think he put two and two together that the online teaching could get him where he wanted to go. Now, one thing he did say was financials, right? Which I don't think you tied down enough on just how not happy with it, like how not happy with the financials is he to where he would go do something different. Like there wasn't enough pain to make him go make a move.
Yeah,
And did he
sure.
really feel like online teaching was going to do that for him? That there was just a big disconnect between his pains and the online teaching. They weren't married together. Make sense?
Yeah. Because normally what I do is at the end of the call, I'll go through like a little summary of like how the system works and then why I think it's relevant to them, like tie it to their goals and
Yes.
I'll tie them down on that.
But it's a little bit too late at that point because think of the set as building blocks. You don't just stack one on top of the other until you get where you need to go. And within those, you have to slide not your program, but your industry in there every once in a while as like a little cement. You know what I mean? So if people are talking about, investments, and they say, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've been stuck at 10% or 8% in the S&P for 5 years. It's like, oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to work hard to only get 8% in crypto. But I mean, and you keep moving, right? You see, like, I'm sliding that in there every so often to make sure that they understand what we're talking about. For you, when it was like, he was like, well, I don't remember what he said, but I'm gonna use an example. Like, I don't, teachers aren't paid very much. My salary is only, I don't know, 30K a year, whatever. I feel like not only are the kids not getting an education, but I'm not really able to financially. Oh, he wanted to go visit his family twice a year or something in Germany. I remember this guy. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not able to go visit my family twice a year in Germany. It's like, yeah, I mean, with online teaching, you can build your own income so that you can actually do that, because you're right. Like, your raise probably is very incremental over the years and is not going to allow you to do that for a while. Like little tiny things like that. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
But don't go into all these things you do in your program and all that. It's just tiny little subtle additions that keep online teaching being the goal to help the problem. The goal to help the problem.
Yeah, for sure. I like that.
Cool. Michael, I have to hop like right at the top of the hour. Did you remember your question?
No, but I did send you a message about that French speaking offer in Canada.
Yes. Yeah. It's a finance offer. I coach their setting team as well. And yes, I can at least send you I don't know if they're for sure hiring setters right now, but I can look. But just an option.
Well, I'm only going to be really dipping into stuff probably in a couple weeks because I'm focusing on my physio at the moment.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So
okay, cool. But yeah, I can message. Just message me on school.
already sent off the message. So
Okay. All right, sweet. Sounds good, guys. This recording will be downloaded and Michael will put it in the classroom thing so y'all can get access to it. Again, if y'all need me during the week, just hit me up in school if you have any questions, and hopefully we can do a call review next week because I think they're extremely helpful. I unfortunately can't bring any of my own setter calls, or I would, because I think that would be really good for you guys to hear and break down, but we can't do that just from like privacy purposes or whatever.
Previous offers.
So I don't have any recordings from like other offers and stuff, but hopefully we can do a call review because they're very, very helpful. So if y'all have a call, please bring it. And I will see you guys next week.
Do you want good or
Peace.
bad?
Both. Bring one of each. We can get two
Okay.
done. Yes.
Done deal.
All right. Sounds good,
All right.
y'all. See ya.
Thanks,
Bye.
Caitlin.
Peace.
Bye-bye.